Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big bad bat? What's going on, folks? Hope you all are having a splendid and fantastic day. And as you may have already know, the Batman hits theaters this week, and it looks like a badass time. You got Robert Pattinson, who is a phenomenal actor. I get it, Twilight sucks, but the dude can act. Just watch Good Time. But yeah, Robert Pattinson is playing Batman, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Colin Farrell is somehow playing the Penguin, and Paul Dano as the Riddler. Which of course, as you may already know, the Riddler will be the film's main villain. Maybe we'll get a Court of Owls reference in there, but as of now, Riddler's the main bad guy. Now, Edward Nygma, aka the Riddler, has always been infamously known as one of Batman's many iconic villains. Heck, even if you don't read comics, chances are you've definitely heard of the guy. But truth be told, a lot of this probably stems from the many adaptations that we've gotten over the years. His portrayal in the 60s Batman television series, his glorious bowler cap version from the Batman animated show, the very silly and extremely over-the-top performance from Jim Carrey in Batman Forever, along with the insanely frustrating presence in the Batman Arkham games, where you as Batman got to run around and glide across Gotham and solve various riddles and collect hundreds of Riddle trophies. But what's his deal in the comics? What are some of Riddler's best stories as a way to get prepared for the movie? Well, hold on to your butts, folks, because you're about to find out the top 5 best must-read Riddler comics of all time. Starting things off with a bit of classiness, we have Detective Comics issue number 140, written by Bill Finger with the art by Dick Sprang. That's one hell of a name. And this is the issue which first debuts the Riddler. Now, despite this issue being on my top 5 must-read list, at the end of the day, it's nothing life-changing. It's not like you're gonna read it and then, immediately discover the taste of pizza again. Like, no, that's impossible. However, it is still the introduction of the Riddler. It's very much a product of the 1940s golden age of comics. I mean, for God's sakes, Riddler uses a giant electrical crossword puzzle machine to trick Batman and Robin. Like, it's silly, yet iconic for the Batman mythos nonetheless. Next up, we have Batman Universe, a 6-issue miniseries written by Brian Michael Bendis. Bendis is coming. And yes, that was indeed the time when Bendis was, in fact, coming. The book is also drawn spectacularly by Nick Darrington, and this 6-issue mini is the culmination of those Batman books that DC sold from the Walmart stores as a way to attract additional comic book readers. Eventually, DC combined the issues, and thus we got ourselves the wonderful Batman universe. Now, despite Bendis basically sucking at DC, this and his work on Naomi are honestly some of his best work for DC. The book is spectacular, but more importantly, Riddler is the main villain, for at least the first 2 issues. He dips out later on, but his quirky behavior does provide intrigue for the overall story. Add that with great writing and fantastic art, it's a legit awesome time. You don't want to miss this story. Definitely do yourselves a favor and pick this bad boy up. The Riddler, Year the Villain one-shot, is probably the most overlooked Riddler story on this list. However, Mark Russell does a wonderful job in making this comic hilarious with its tone, while also having it take a serious look at Riddler as a whole, and how his whole shtick of being a riddle master is somewhat outdated in today's world. Plus, when you have a character like the Joker, who essentially overshadows the Riddler in popularity, with riddles and jokes being somewhat in the same playing field, you can sort of make the comparison that the Riddler is a poor man's Joker. Yet nonetheless, the book does a great job in getting the emotional struggle that Riddler is having to deal with in the current day, with his identity being almost irrelevant. 0 Year is written by Scott Snyder with the art by Greg Capullo. 0 Year is a legit long arc in the New 52 Batman series, and similar to New 52's purpose, 0 Year was Snyder's modernized retelling of the Batman origin. Don't worry, his parents were still shot. That will never change, I can promise you that. But it served as a retelling for Bruce Wayne in becoming the Batman that he is today, along with his first encounters with villains such as the Red Hood Gang, which Joker was a part of before he fell in a tank full of acid, Penguin, and of course the Riddler, who is the story's main villain. Basically, Edward Nygma a disgruntled and super genius working for Wayne Enterprises, decides that he wants to make the city of Gotham smarter. Therefore, he devises a plan in eradicating Gotham, silencing those within the city who are holding the smart people back from progressing. But of course, Batman is able to stop him in the end. Now, I'm not saying that the Batman film is 100% adapting the Riddler's motives from the story, but I wouldn't be surprised where in the film, we find out that the movie version of the Riddler was an ex-employee of Wayne Enterprises. And in order to get his revenge, he, goes on a killing spree. Plus, Matt Reeves has stated that Zero Year was one of the many influences for the movie. So there's that. Now, before we get to the final one, the number one of all Riddler stories, here's some honorable mentions. We got The Long Halloween, which is written by Jeff Loeb, and I can almost guarantee that everyone who's probably watching this video has read this book. Riddler, he's in the book and he's perfectly portrayed as the Riddler. However, he's not important at all, and I think characters like the Falcone crime family, Two-Face, they all overshadow the character. Riddler's not important at all. And then next we have Hush, and let's be honest, when you think of Hush, you don't think of Riddler, you think of Thomas Elliot. So that's why I didn't include those two on the top 5 list. However, I would still advise you guys check those two out. Now, moving on to the final one, we have Questions Multiply the Mystery from Detective Comics Annual Issue number 8 by writer Chuck Dixon with the art by Kieran Dyer. And basically, this is an updated origin story for New Earth Riddler prior to Flashpoint. And the story has Riddler trapped in Arkham, where he finally decides to open up about his issues, his secret past. And I think what's cool about this story is that when it comes to Riddler's past, nothing really happens to him. There's no falling into acid or getting accidentally slapped in the face by Batman. It essentially shows us that no one noticed him. No one cared about Edward Nygma. And through his explanation, we get a sense as to why Edward Nygma, the Riddler, wants to be noticed. He wants to be loved like everyone. He wants to prove that he's the best of the best. And how do you do that? You make a scene. So voila, he becomes the Riddler. And it's so perfect because it's so mundane. Like nothing traumatic actually happens to the character. And it's so Edward Nygma. And yeah, those were my top 5 must-read Riddler stories. And thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly means the world to me. And as always, I'm your majestic slayer of words, SuperCliff. And if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button. And also hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on the upcoming Batman movie? Are you guys excited? Are you going to see it this weekend? Tell me, who's your favorite Batman of all time? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace.